All right, hello everybody. We're gonna wait a few minutes here and let everybody join, and then we'll get started on our webinar tonight. Thank you all for joining. All right, so while some people start to funnel in here, we are going to throw up a quick poll question. So first poll that we have is just trying to get an understanding of what you're most interested in with this webinar today. So if you guys could answer that, and as more people join, we'll leave this up for a little while and let people answer it as they come in. All right, well, let's go ahead and jump in. I want to make sure that we have plenty of time to get through the entire presentation that we have here today. So my name's Brant Cayley. I help out with the sales and marketing with the seed side of things here at FBN. Today we're going to be talking about our recent seed launch of the Master Farmer brand. Our traded seed, our traded corn is what we announced it about 3 weeks ago now. We're fortunate on today's call to have Kyle from the Master Farmer team here with us. And Kyle's going to be going through the products individually, talking through some key characteristics of the entire portfolio. And then obviously we'll have plenty of time for questions at the end. So before we get to that, though, I want to just go through a couple things as far as why FBN decided to get into traded seeds. So if you jump to the next slide, we originally launched our seed brand F2F Genetics back in August, and the idea of F2F Genetics Network is to take the network of farmers at FBN and then go out and develop a network of breeders and genetic providers on kind of the other end of the spectrum, and go and pick the best genetics that we can at the best price possible. And then the goal of F2F is to sit in the middle of these two networks, the network of breeders and the network of members, and bring to our members the best seed at the best price possible. So by doing this, we're able to cut out a lot of the different layers of the seed industry, bring high value at a good price. And then the other thing is that we want to be the independent company that anybody can come and be a part of our breeder network. And long term, we want to be in the middle, passing information back to the breeders on how their products are performing in the field, so they can start to iterate and create new genetics, and keep up with the Joneses as we go. So this was always the vision of F2F, was to find independent offerings, genetic providers, and bring them to market at the best price possible. Now at launch, we only had a conventional corn lineup. That's what we had access to at the time, and we're still really excited about our F2F conventional corn lineup. I think for a lot of farmers, that's a great price point, really high-end, high-quality genetics that you guys will be happy with. But we still had a lot of feedback and a lot of requests from our members to get traded corn, right? Maybe they're in an area where they have to have glyphosate, or they're in an area where corn borer, or they're on corn back to corn and they have a lot of bug issues that they need that insect trait for. So we heard that feedback. We knew that this was a need, and we just needed to find the right partner to be able to bring traded seed to market at the way that we think was doing it right. So we were very fortunate to partner with the guys from Master Farmer. They're bringing to us a really nice portfolio of some exclusive hybrids, some relabeled hybrids. We'll talk about the relabeled options that we have at the end, but it's a full portfolio of traits, and I think it's really fitting the need for a lot of the farmers that we have. So that's why we decided to launch and work with Master Farmer and launch this brand of traded seed. If you jump to the next slide, with this launch, we're not compromising any of the core principles that we've discussed. So these are the 4 principles of the F2F Genetics Network, and they were there at the launch, they were there today, and they'll still be there in the future. So we're still, farmer driven, breeder direct. We're still trying to cut out layers and bring products to you guys as close to the breeders as possible. We're still not compromising on yield, so we're going out and picking the best genetics that are out there and that we can get our hands on. We're still totally transparent. So if we're selling a relabeled hybrid, we're going to tell you that. We're going to tell you how that product performs, both price-wise and performance-wise. And as we go in the future and we start getting yield data back, we're going to continue to be transparent and unbiased on how these seeds perform in the real world. And then the last one is fair and flat pricing. So one of the things that we're really excited with about this launch of traded corn is that we're able to bring it to market at a national price that we think is really aggressive. So there's no zone pricing with our program. There's no haggling. There's no extra discounts or anything like that. It's one price for all of our members, and we think the pricing's really competitive. So let's jump ahead a couple slides then. Yeah. So here's the offering that we have, right? So we launched Master Farmer Seed a couple weeks ago, and we get asked again a lot of questions on why, and we're trying to. One of the big things that we're doing with this launch is we're leveraging seed relabeling to help our members. In fact, I think that we have kind of a tendency or a reputation in the market of being against seed relabeling. And I think that we are against how seed relabeling is done in the industry today, because we don't think that it's very transparent to farmers. But that doesn't necessarily mean that seed relabeling is bad. In fact, I think that it can bring products to market at a better price. And in this case, with our Master Farmer launch, is a really good example of how seed relabeling can be used to the benefit of the farmer, because we've actually went out and we've looked at how different products perform. Products that we would have access to through this portfolio, and we've actually been, putting in requests to Master Farmer on products that show really well in Seed Finder based off relabeled information, and then are adding that to our portfolio. And we'll continue to do that because that's a way that we can make seed relabeling really work for our members. The other reason why we launched is, as I mentioned earlier, we had a lot of requests for traded corn. So with this launch, we're bringing glyphosate tolerance, we're bringing double stacks with GT and BT, and triple stacks with GT, BT, and rootworm traits all included. A lot of these are established and known genetics, and like I said, no haggling, no zone pricing. So what is our pricing? If you jump to the next slide, I think that in most parts of the country, our pricing is really aggressive, really exciting. It's a price point that hasn't been seen in traded seed for quite some time. So on the GT side, glyphosate tolerant only corn, we're at 149 a unit, and we have a full maturity range of that. For GT plus BT, we start at 174 a unit, and we have again a full range of products in that. We're going to go through all the products here in just a couple minutes. And then on triple stacks, we're at 199 a bag. Now, all these prices that I've talked about, these are, these are going to be if you're going down a structured refuge route. If you need refuge in a bag, or if you need a blended refuge option, then that is an additional $20 a unit that gets added on to the double stack or triple stack pricing, and that brings a couple modes of action so that you have you don't have to deal with structured refuge. So if you want the best price available, you go down the path of structured refuge. If you want to keep it simple and go refuge in a bag, that's an additional $20. Now, all of this pricing is available through February 15th, and we do have some exciting financing offers that we'll talk about here at the end. So with that being said, that's our pricing. That's why we decided to get into this program and this offering, why we decided to link up with the guys at Master Farmer. So now I want to introduce Kyle. So Kyle is one of the key agronomists at Master Farmer, and knows this product portfolio inside and out like the back of his hand, and really is prepared to talk through each of the different products, but also stick around and answer any questions that you guys have. So if you have any questions, go ahead and throw them into the question box, and we'll have time at the end that we can jump to discuss those. So Kyle, why don't you go through our glyphosate tolerant corn lineup, starting with our earliest maturity, which is an 82-day, if I believe. So Kyle.
Thanks, Brant. Good evening, everybody. As Brant said, we're going to spend a little bit of time going through the product portfolio. We'll basically continue to add, start with the most basic of trait stacks, all the way to the top. You're fully traded in some of your easy refuge options. As Brant kind of touched on, Master Farmer and FBN's relationship is like many of their other relationship with breeding partners. It is open architecture. It allows them to bring in, a plethora of different breeding programs into their seed portfolio line, and this is no different. Now, everything that comes in a traded bag through the FBN organization is going to be through the AgriSure trait portfolio. So Syngenta offered traits. But yeah, everything is different. There are a few relabeled products. There's a few that aren't. So it's kind of a wide spectrum of material and products that'll fit a wide maturity range. First, we're going to start with the 82-day GT option. This is going to pair perfectly with the 77-day option that we'll talk about here in a little bit when we get into some of the insect traits. But this 82-day GT is going to be a perfect companion as well as a refuge product for a lot of the things around it in its relative maturity. Very good product with good stalk strength. Really honestly likes to move north and south of its maturity zone, east and west of its maturity zone. For an 82-day product, it'll move, like I said, fairly south of its zone, really likes to be north. This would be a lead product for me in that upper Wisconsin, upper part of Minnesota, going into the North Dakota region, maybe even the farther parts of South Dakota. That would absolutely be where I would want to keep this. It is truly an 82-day product, but like I said, with a little bit of southern movement, but east to west, it is excellent. So it would also be a top product for me if I was going to be selling in the New York Northeast region, and like I said, as well as moving it west. So great product overall, great agronomics, great pairing hybrid for a refuge option for some of the other material that you'll need a refuge for, but an all-around good product. So next slide, please. So this 86-day AgriSure Artesian is another very strong product. This 86-day product is Artesian, so you'll see a couple of these labeled with Artesian. Artesian is the AgriSure native traits that were selected a few years ago and patented. It's basically a specific patenting of inbred lines that allow those inbreds turned into hybrids to become a little bit more sufficient in its water use on both sides. So you'll have better overall water uptake on the dry years, and you'll have a more efficient water uptake on the wet years, or what we would call like a luxury watering year. So those are products that you're going to see kind of throughout the Master Farmer and FBN portfolio, and so they're going to be designated as such. This 86-day option is again another great high yielding option. I believe that this is a relabeled product. We'll touch on that towards the end when we get to that slide. It has been used quite a bit in the country, east to west, north to south, east as far as that upper part of New York that's going to be using it, up into maybe Maine, and Vermont if guys are using for corn hybrids up there, as well as this would be a product for me out in Colorado, Idaho, parts of the Pacific Northwest. This would absolutely be a hybrid that I would be leaning on if I had high pH soils. This one responds extremely well to high pH soils, especially like those Idaho regions where you get pHs of anywhere from 8.1 to 8.3. This would definitely be my lead product for those acres for a high yielding grain option. So, and it comes in a variety of options for planting population. You can back it off a little bit and get a little bit of work out of it just by backing off population. But for those guys in Idaho and out west who have moved to 15 and 20-inch rows who are pushing up populations, it'll respond well to that as also. So this would be a lead product for many of those areas that are growing 86-day corn. Next, please. This 88-day hybrid, this AgriSure GT 88-day, is another one that I would be leaning on heavily with that 86-day. If I was going to pick one of the two, I think that the yield top end yield is going to be on that 86-day, but this 88-day is again a very good companion hybrid for that product. I would pair them together. Now the 86-day is a little bit more versatile on different ground types, heavy clays, silt loams, some of those sands. This one's a little bit more finicky on some of that ground, so I would keep it on my silt loams, some of my better ground. Works better in better managed soils. It does if you're going to hit that top end yield. This one will move south fairly well for an 88-day, but definitely likes to be used north across east and west. So, like I said, that 86-day can kind of go New York to Idaho, even Pacific Northwest. This one's more at home in that Wisconsin, Minnesota, South Dakota, maybe part of North Dakota markets. So I have no problem using it in parts of Pennsylvania, going up into parts of New York. But as I said, I would kind of lean towards on the 86-day as my lead hybrid, and then maybe companion this along to split up some acreage. Next slide, please. Next is 101-day, the P019. This is a type yielding hybrid in the early 101-day maturity. Anything in the early 100-day maturity. This is going to be a hybrid that I'm going to be leaning on for all types of ground. Responds very well to no-till, likes to move east, likes to move west. Actually does not move north, maybe as well as some other hybrids. This hybrid would more be at home, moving south of its relative maturity zone, maybe acting more like a 104 or 105-day hybrid for guys who'd be using it. This hybrid has had a lot of success, I know, out east. It's very much at home in the state of Minnesota. So for guys growing early 101-day grain corn, this is absolutely a go-to. You have a wide variety of planting populations, very good yield potential. It is a semi-flex, so I personally like to see the populations backed off to really kind of maximize that yield potential. But an overall really good plant, very agronomically nice. But like I said, doesn't really move north like 100-day. Actually likes to be in its zone and south as a fuller season option. So next slide, please. Next, we have 112-day MGD 129. Which is a product which I'll try to touch on a little bit as we go along. The last 101-day that we just talked about has a similar product in the lineup, same genetics, available 3000 GT. This product as well, this 112-day, does the same. There will be a GT version. There will also be a 3000 GT version. So you'll have the same genetics in two different bags, just with different trait package options. So if you're using the 3000 GT, you have a structured refuge in the same genetic. So it gives you a really nice complement there. This product is going to basically have use everywhere from as far north as you can grow 112-day corn to about the Ohio River Valley south. I would probably say Tennessee, Kentucky area would be its farthest southern range, but it's going to go east to west. Now, it is a full flex hybrid, but the reason the recommended planting population is a little bit higher is because of its overall leaf structure. It is more of an erect, it's more of a narrow leaf structure, and so this plant actually doesn't mind populations being increased and still maximizing yield from a flex variety. So for those guys, this would be my lead option for a lot of guys who are growing 15 and 20-inch grows. For the guys who are pushing populations up even to like 38 and 40,000 plants per acre. Overall, very good agronomics against northern corn leaf blight, gray leaf spot. If you're going to move it down into the southeast, it does handle southern rust fairly well, but an overall great hybrid. And again, this is going to be available in the 3000 GT version and also this GT version, so it gives you the opportunity to save some money there by planting your own structured refuge. Next slide, please. Okay, next, this is another product that's going to come in 3 different trait packages. This one is the MGL 149. So this is the GT version, but it's also going to come in a 3000 GT and then also an Easy Refuge 3122. So with this 114-day option, you'll have 2 opportunities: either plant your own structured refuge, and you can even keep seed costs down by going that way, or you can plant the refuge in a bag and make it a little bit easier for those guys who are interested in that type of planting opportunity. So 114-day hybrid, very good resistance to gray and northern corn leaf blight. This one is a semi-fixed, so that's where that population of 32 to 36,000 come from. You're going to want to kind of keep populations up to keep yield going, to keep yield on more of that top end. It does have a little bit slower dry down, and by that I mean, could in some areas, as you pull it maybe a little far north, it could act like an even longer season hybrid. I know for a fact that this product has been used in parts of Wisconsin all the way down to Florida and Georgia. Really kind of likes, it works very well in the West, but really is at home kind of east of the Mississippi and being pulled southeast. So very strong product. And like I said, 3 different trade options for those guys who are looking to kind of diversify the way that they want to plant their acres this year. Next slide, please. Next, we have a 115-day GT. This one is the L159. This hybrid has very good overall agronomics, very good against gray and northern corn leaf blight. Really does like to move south as a 115-day. It is obviously a fuller season hybrid. Likes to move east and west. This would be, to me, another companion hybrid to like that 114-day or maybe one of our 117 days. It's going to excel on a little bit better ground. If it gets on some of those higher productive grounds, it's going to excel there, obviously, from a yield standpoint and an overall management standpoint. It's not going to be a top end earner. It's going to be a good companion for one of those other ones, maybe for diversified acres. It actually sometimes will hit its best stride on sandier soils, maybe even some of those for guys who are growing 115-day dry land corn. This would be an option I would go to, a GT option for some of those dry land acres. So that would be my lead use for this product. And again, 30 to 36,000 plants per acre. It is a semi-flex, but as you back off that population, you should be able to increase the yield a little bit. So next slide, please. All right, next we have 117-day, and again, this is another one that's going to have more than one option. It'll also come in a 3000 GT option, so you have the ability right there to integrate your own structured refuge. There's going to be another product, not the same genetics, that's 118-day. That you'll be able to, that's also 117 days. So this GT option is a good option for any of those hybrids for structured refuge. So very high yielding product. This is a very strong product in the south and southeast. I would even pull it as far southwest as the Texas Panhandle, New Mexico area. If I was, now I understand that there's a bit of change in relative maturity, but if I was Kentucky, Tennessee, Georgia, Florida, or the Carolinas and going up against, let's say, like an 1197 from Pioneer, or even some of the 64 series decalbs, this is going to be my yield potential lead hybrid. If I'm going to try to beat those hybrids, this is absolutely the genetics I'm going to use, either this one or the 3000 GT. So again, it is a full flex hybrid. So as you back off population, you will see an increase in yield, extremely good agronomics, great late season stalk integrity, great roots, really does well against southern rust for those guys who are in the southeast and deal with those on some of those rougher years like we had 2 years ago. So again, this is a lead product for a lot of those areas. If you're growing full season 117-day corn from New Mexico to Florida, this is going to be your lead product. This is going to be your top yield earner. So next slide, please. Okay, so now we're going to get into the GT and BT corn options, and we'll talk through a little bit of these. First, we're going to start off with a 77-day product. There's quite a few unique things about this product. One, is that it's very tough to find genetics south of 80 days in the first place in the country. There aren't many companies that are offering hybrids less than 80 days. I know that Pioneer has one or two, and I know that I think DeKalb is running one. There's a few other companies, but there's just not much south of 80 days. It's exceptionally hard to find a flex-eared hybrid south of 80-day relative maturity. So this makes this product very unique. Very strong hybrid agronomically, in the fact that many of the products that come out in this country that are less than 80, 82, 83, 84 days are basically fixed year hybrids that they emerge quickly. Most likely they'll have quick emergence, good early germination, good early season vigor. And what they'll do is they'll basically physiologically mature as quickly as possible. So their GDUs will be obviously real short. They'll hit the pollination. They will pollinate, turn the corner, and then your dry down will be fairly rapid to get yourself to where you can harvest corn within such a short period of time. This hybrid does extremely well in that situation. It handles the fact that it turns very quickly, and it holds its yield as a semi-flex. So even with all the things that Mother Nature can throw at it as a semi-flex option, it really holds to it. Now, I would keep the populations at like 32 to 36. I would go down maybe as low as 30 on really good ground. South of that, I would probably be a little cautious just to kind of maximize yield potential. But for North Dakota, this is almost always going to be my lead product, just from an overall yield standpoint and the ability to only grow, so many different hybrids there. So very far north New York, getting up by the falls, and then the upper part of Minnesota, and then North Dakota would be the lead area, and maybe even the far northern tip of Wisconsin would be the lead areas for this product for me. Next slide, please. Next, we have a 93-day product. And again, this one actually has a little bit of relation to that 86-day product that we were talking about. They're similar in both their physiological maturity as well as their overall yield potential. Now, obviously, I think the 93-day is going to have a little bit more top-end yield. I mean, you're talking about a 7-day difference between an 86-day product. So you should see a little bit of increase in yield. But same kind of use, east to west. So I really like this product all the way out into Pennsylvania and on the East Coast. I like it moving down into parts of the Northeast Ohio region up by the lakes, swinging over into Michigan, that northern part of Indiana into Wisconsin. I like it in Minnesota. I'd be using it as a lead product if I was in the South Dakota area, specifically like around Sioux Falls, Brookings, even moving into the western areas of South Dakota would be my lead product. And then this again is another one due to its genetic background that takes really well to that Idaho market. I know it does really well on some of those high pH soils. It takes really well to those, and it also kind of likes to move even a little farther south of that into parts of Utah that are using 93-day corn. So this would be my lead product. And again, even into some of that Pacific Northwest, if that's somewhere where you're looking for a 93-day product, maybe south of the Seattle area. So strong product, very, very good early season vigor. So gets out of the ground very well, really starts to shade the row, very, very good agronomics. Northern corn leaf blight, gray leaf spot, all the issues you run into in the north. Actually doesn't mind being pulled south of zone, doesn't mind being pulled north of zone, and likes to go east to west extremely well. So this would be a lead product for me if I was growing corn in the 93-day maturity range. Next, we have a 95-day hybrid, which is MBZD959. This is going to be Viptera 3220 Easy Refuge. So you'll get two modes of action against broad lepidopteran, any pest that flies. So that'd be two modes of action against earworm, two modes of action against your earworm pest, western bean cutworm, anything like that. And then two modes of action against corn borer. And again, it'll be available in an Easy Refuge product. Another very, very good product, good stalk strength and root strength for some of that late season intactness, very good out of the ground. Good against northern corn leaf blight, fairly good against gray leaf spot. It's good to average on high productive soils and a little bit better on some of those rougher soils. So this would be the companion hybrid for the 93-day we just talked about, in a way of I would put this on maybe some of the non-irrigated acres. I would probably put it on sands, heavy clays, really kind of likes to excel in some of those areas. So that would be my my lead for this product would be using it on some of the tougher ground, and then maybe use that 90 to 3-day product on the better ground for top end yield potential. Next slide, please. Next, we have a 96-day MBZ H969, which is, again, another Easy Refuge product. This one is a 3120 Easy Refuge. So 1 mode of action against broadleaf, 2 modes of action against corn borer. Again, another companion hybrid to both the 93 and the 95 day. I would just flip them on this one. So I would use the 93 day in almost any situation. I would use the 94, or I'm sorry, the 95 day that we just talked about on some of the stress prone fields and some of the harder ground. This one I would use on some of the more highly productive soils. Now, this is a semi-fixed hybrid. You're going to want to keep populations up a little bit. It has very good late season intactness, and it is very good against the leaf blights and the gray leaf spots that you run into, but it definitely excels on some of that better ground. And so that's how I would split those hybrids up. So I'd use the 96 day on the better ground, the 95 day on some of the tougher ground, and the 93 on all ground I could possibly sell corn on. It works and excels on all those types. So you have different options there to kind of diversify the portfolio of seed options on a farm. Next slide, please. Next, we have a 105-day MBW059. Now, this hybrid works very well north as well as east to west, and kind of moves fairly well south for 105-day. Now, it is only available with corn borer protection. So this would technically be a GT CBLL. So it will have, Roundup, glufosinate, and glyphosate protection. But this would definitely be a product that I would be using on a couple of different situations. I'd be moving it west into a lot of that Colorado, Nebraska, Western Kansas dryland situations and scenarios, as well as some of the top end ground in Iowa, parts of Wisconsin, Minnesota. I'd be have no problem using it in South Dakota where they're growing 105-day corn. This is definitely a top end, top yielding potential hybrid. Doesn't really matter what type of ground it's on. Doesn't matter if it's no-till or tilled. Doesn't matter if it's good ground or bad ground. This hybrid kind of likes it all. So this would be a lead product for a lot of those acres. Again, it only comes with corn borer protection. But for those guys, in that Nebraska, Colorado, Western Kansas area where corn borer is really the only trait they're looking for, this would be my lead product in those areas. So next slide, please. Next, we're going to get into the GT, BT, and rootworm traded corn. So we'll talk through a couple of these products right now. So we're going to start with this 90-day MRL 909. Now, this product is very unique in its situation of its overall use. So this would absolutely be a top product for me in the Wisconsin, Minnesota, and the Dakota market. I would use it basically in those spots. And then moving farther east if I was into Pennsylvania, New York. It does not respond well to Idaho Pacific Northwest. It does not respond well to both cold and wet soils at the same time. So you got to pick one or the other. It's either got to go in cold soil or it's got to go in wet soil, but not both. But it does excel in other situations like pulling it south of its zone. So it responds extremely well to warmer soils, proper planting soil temperatures and farther. So this product can actually take the heat of the Texas Panhandle. I know that it's been grown there for a couple of different operations in double cropping rotations where they're planting 2 corn crops in 1 year and trying to maximize yield that way. So very strong hybrid, kind of north to south. And then east, but then again, western, not Idaho or Pacific Northwest. So those would kind of be the situations I would use it in. But very strong product with AgriSure Viptera 3111. So you get 1 mode of action against of everything: broadleaf, corn borer, and corn rootworm. So very, very strong product. This ear type is actually more of a semi-flex, not a fixed. So as you back off population, you'll begin to see that ear flex. I would even actually consider this a flex-eared hybrid. We actually had a little misprint, but this would be a hybrid I would back off. I would have no problem planting this hybrid at 26,000 plants per acre on good ground in Wisconsin and Minnesota. So very strong product. Next, we have the 98-day hybrid, which is Agrisure Viptera 3111 again. This hybrid is very unique in that it also moves south very well. It likes to move north of its zone. I know that it's been used all the way up into Canada, as well as down into Georgia as a 98-day product. So a lot of fluctuation on where it can go. Likes to move east extremely well. It really likes the East Coast, and it moves west fairly well too. I would use this product as far into South Dakota. And in some cases, I would use it in that Idaho, Colorado, Utah markets. Very good hybrid, very quick dry down. So this actually gives guys who would not regularly, the reason it likes to move north so well is that guys who would regularly not plant 98-day corn can get this hybrid to finish. It is very quick to dry down once ear fill is hit. So once it gets to blister and that ear really starts to turn towards black layer, it goes very quick. And so this would be that product for guys who maybe in the past have grown 93, 90-day corn and really kind of want to push yields. And so they would push up onto something that's 98 days. This would be that product. So again, another one that you could back off populations a little bit. If you'd like on some of that better ground. On some of the not so good ground, I would push populations to maximize yield potential in those cases. Next slide, please. Next, we have a 99-day. This is available in a 3011. So this would be available with both corn borer and corn rootworm. This is a very good product in the north, especially for 99-day corn. Really doesn't like to be pulled south like that last 98-day I talked about. Really likes to kind of be in that 99-day relative maturity. So I would be using it in Wisconsin, Minnesota, the Dakotas. Likes to go east, but likes to stay west of the Wisconsin and west of the Mississippi. So I would keep it up in those parts, even use down into parts of northern Iowa who would be growing this corn. So Iowa, the Dakotas, South Dakota specifically, Minnesota and Wisconsin would be where it's really at home. Very strong product. Again, semi-flex, doesn't get very tall, but does put on a very good amount of yield. And I would stretch that population out from 26 to maybe 34,000, but very good tolerance against northern corn leaf blight, gray leaf spot. I would say to use maybe a tiny bit of caution if you're going west, just the tiniest bit in some of that Goss's Wilt area. If you're going to try to pull it down into Iowa, that might deal with it, but not much, not anything to be overly concerned about. And then next we have that 101 day that I talked about that we would have available in a GT version as well as this 3011 artesian version. So again, same hybrid that we talked about in the past. 3000 GT version gives you the opportunity to plant your own structured refuge. And this is the hybrid that I said is really at home in Minnesota, really at home in kind of that Wisconsin, Minnesota, Dakotas region. Also in the East Coast and anywhere that's using 101 day corn, and would be one of my top end yielding lead hybrids, lead products for a lot of those regions. Next slide, please. Next, we have 104 day VIP 3111. This would be a lead product for me in that Iowa, moving into Kansas, into Colorado, Nebraska, true dryland corn. I would use this west of the Mississippi. I would use this in places where you're not going to bump into northern corn leaf blight, where you're not going to bump into gray leaf spot. And honestly, at that point, if you keep it off that ground and you keep it, it doesn't matter what it goes on. It likes higher productive soils, but yes, you can put this on dry land and it'll do just fine. That stress-prone fields rating of a 3 is actually given for fields of no-till situations where it might run into a leaf disease issue. Like I said, west of the Mississippi is where it's at home. I love this product in Kansas and Iowa, in Nebraska and Colorado. Not so much east. I would not place this product in Pennsylvania or anywhere on the East Coast. It does not respond well to gray leaf spot, northern corn leaf blight. But if you keep it in its relative maturity zone in those areas I touched on, it is a super strong product. Great ear flex, just an incredibly deep kernel, tons of deep kernels. It flexes in girth as you back off population. It just really thrives in those environments. It's a spectacular product to see in person, and it's really astonishing when you see it at a field day. So strong product. To be completely honest with you, I look at 1,200. Well over 1,000 crosses a year of commercial, as well as breeders trials and programs of different crosses, and and different pedigrees and things. This is easily one of my favorite crosses in the country when it's in its relative maturity zone. It's a great product. And it's a top yielding earner. But like I said, there's just, you got to use its caution in the areas it doesn't like. But when you got it in the area it does, this is a product that you can get on a farm for years and years and years to come using this product. So next slide, please. Next, we have 108 day, and I believe this one is going to be on the relabeled as well. This cross is very popular in the country, and it has been for a couple of years because it's so tried and true. It is a 108 day product that kind of likes to act like 110 or 111 day. It does not want to be pushed up north as, you know, a late to bloom or late to mature 108 day. It likes to be pulled south and be used a little bit more as like that 110, 111 day. If I was going up against some of those decal numbers in that 104, 105, late 100 day material, this is going to be one I'm going to lean on, as well as maybe that 105 day 30-10 option. Just a great overall product, really good leaf disease tolerance, you know, good against northern corn leaf blight and gray leaf spot. And again, this is a product for both high productive fields and stress prone fields. So I'm going to use this on dryland acres as well as irrigated acres. Really, its stress prone fields rating comes from more of a soil texture, from like a sand to a clay, not so much from a disease standpoint, although it does have very good agronomics and stands up very well to those leaf diseases. So responds well to no-till, and very good product overall. Just a really good high yielding product in that 108 day maturity, and again comes in Viptera 3111, so you get a little bit of everything across the board with that trait option. All right, now we're going to get in some of the fuller season material that I kind of touched on. This is a 112 day product. This product is going to be used in some specific markets, so does not like to be pulled south as 112 day. Really kind of likes, this would be what I would call like a corn belt swiping hybrid. So I would use this in like Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio River Valley, down into maybe Kentucky, and then sweeping up into that eastern Pennsylvania over into the Virginia area. So keep it in basically what we would consider the corn belt. Keep the populations up a little bit, and then if you do that, it doesn't mind stress prone fields or high productive fields. You know, really kind of likes both. Very good health package overall. Very good against northern corn leaf blight, gray leaf spot, and if you are going to pull it down in Kentucky, it is good against southern rust. But like I said, it really kind of enjoys that Midwest corn belt kind of swipe, where you're going to see those yields maximize. So keep it there, keep the populations up. And this will be a very, very good top end yielding product for you. Next, we have the MRJ 129. This is also going to be another one of those products that, as 112 day, doesn't really move south like it would like to, or as you would see maybe some other 112 day, 114 day products. Really kind of likes that corn belt swipe. This one is a semi-flex, so you can back off populations in comparison to the other one. And this one actually does a little bit better on higher productive soils. So this would be kind of that Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, swiping in the Ohio River Valley, moving over east. If I had to pick a place where it was truly at home, it would be like the black dirt of Champaign, Illinois, moving over into the, you know, north central part of Indiana, into that swipe over by like Des Moines, Iowa, and sweeping across there. That's where I would really keep this product at if I wanted to see maximize yield. But very, very, very healthy plant. It's very healthy, really likes, like I said, high productive soils, and would be my lead product, honestly, in a lot of those areas like the Indiana, Illinois, Iowa. But like I said, not south of zone, kind of keep it in that relative maturity area. Next slide, please. Next, we have the MRV 129. Again, this is the 3000 GT version of the hybrid I spoke on earlier. So this is the one that's a full flex hybrid that you can increase populations on to maximize yield. Really responds well to it because of its leaf structure. Again, lead product from a bunch of different angles. I have no problem using this, like I said, pretty far south as well as all the way up to Wisconsin, east to west. It'll take both of those as well. So if you have someone looking for 112 day corn, this is most likely going to be the product I'm going to recommend for you guys. Next slide, please. And then next we have the 114 day. This is the 3000 GT version of the GT version that I originally had spoken on. I know it's been used in Wisconsin, Florida, Georgia, all the way over into the Texas Panhandle and New Mexico. So again, another lead product, likes to be pulled south, likes to be even pulled north, obviously. Good product, variety of planting populations. I would even push that from 28 to 38,000 planting population. Very strong hybrid, really good agronomics, and really good late season intactness. So next slide, please. And again, this is that same hybrid, just available in the 3122 option. So this option gives you one mode of action against broadleaf, one mode of or two modes of action against corn borer, and two modes of action against corn rootworm as well. So for guys who are dealing with corn rootworm right now in ways that we haven't really seen, we've had some upswings of corn rootworm in areas of the country the past couple of years where it's gotten pretty hectic, and 3000 GT sometimes isn't enough. Or 3011, and so this would be a lead product for me in a lot of those areas. So very good opportunity with the 3122 option here. This next one is a Viptera 3111. It's a 115 day. This hybrid, as you can see, does not move north very well. It is 115 day, does not really like east. This actually likes to be pulled south and west. So if I was going to use this hybrid, I'm going to use it in Oklahoma, parts of the western Kansas, basically Manhattan West, Oklahoma, mostly all of Texas, and New Mexico. I have no problem putting this into California either. I have no problem using it like in that Fresno Valley area, but that's where I'm going to keep it at. Its stress-prone fields comes from its ability to kind of take on some of that southern rust in the southeast. And so what we like to do is keep it in some of those more arid climates. And so, like I said, keep it in those regions. But again, this would be, one of my top products. If I was in Kansas, Oklahoma, those areas, true dryland corn, this is going to be it. Its background is actually one of the parents is a dryland inbred. And so this would be a product that I would be leading with those areas and with those kind of that type of ground. Next, we have 117 day. It's MR-F179. And again, used kind of in the same way as 115 day. They have a little bit of relation in the background, and this one has a little bit of, it shares it on its dryland side. And this would be a lead product for those dryland acres in Oklahoma, Texas, New Mexico, moving over into California. I don't have a problem with it on irrigated ground in California, as well as maybe that last 115 day, and honestly even in New Mexico and the Panhandle of Texas, where it's irrigated ground, but the climate itself is fairly arid and dry, and so I wouldn't have any issue with them there. I just wouldn't move it east of the Mississippi into the southeast. So. Next, we have MRG 179. So this is again, this is going to be that kind of companion hybrid to some I talked about earlier. The ones I talked about earlier are the MRP 179 and the MGT 179. This would be the companion hybrid for those. I would use that GT version of the MG that I talked about, the MGT 179. I would use that GT version for this Viptera 3111 option. They are very strong companion hybrids together. I think the other one's going to have a tiny notch, not much on yield, but this one is a little bit more rugged. So it'll really kind of take a hit on the chin and just really keep moving along. It's a strong product in a lot of environments. Really doesn't mind southern rust for the guys who are going to pull it into the southeast. This would be my lead product in a lot of the South, as well as that the other version I was kind of talking about, the 3000, the GT version of the previous two. So I would lead with these three products, and I would heavily rely on them, pretty much Florida to New Mexico up into California. Without a doubt, the strongest products in the lineup. This is MRP 179. This is the 3000 GT version of the GT I was originally talking about. Again, companion hybrid of those three. If I'm using them in those product areas, these are my leads. This is what I want to use on my acres if I live in the South. Absolutely. And I know that these have been used successfully in the industry for the past couple of years, and they're basically tried and true. I can tell you they're checks for a lot of stuff that comes out of the industry at this time. So. Next, we have MRB 189. This hybrid is truly unique. It is a large plant. It has a tiny hint of tropical in the background. It is truly a 118-day product. It is going to be used basically east to west, but I'm going to lean on it really heavily in Arkansas, Mississippi, Louisiana, Georgia, and Florida. I like it in Texas and New Mexico and California. I just think that those other 117-day options are going to be a little bit better. But for the kind of the more moist areas where you're going to run into a lot of that southern rust, like I said, the states I just rattled off, this is the hybrid I'm going to probably lean on for top end yield. It is a large plant type. It is truly has some tropical in the background, and so I'm going to kind of keep that in mind as I, where I place it. But it's a strong product with incredible agronomics, really great root strength and stalk strength for a product this large and this tall. But a very, very good, very good product for those markets. And finally, we have MR-L189, which is 118-day VIP 3111. This is another one, again, that I'm going to keep on the dryland acres. I'm going to, keep it out of areas with southern rust. So I'm going to basically use it in Texas, Oklahoma, New Mexico, and California. It'll be a top yielding hybrid. It does have earworm protection with the Viptera trait, and it's going to be a top yielding hybrid in a lot of those areas, but I'm definitely going to keep it on some of the drier ground, dryland acres. I'm going to use it into especially like the Texas Panhandle, Clovis, New Mexico kind of area. And like I said, keep it away from areas where they're going to bump into southern rust. But again, another very strong product that I really, really like in the industry that I think will work really well for those southern markets. So that'll be it for the Master Farmer lineup. I'll let Britt touch on the next few slides.
Great. Thank you very much, Kyle. And yeah, guys, definitely throw some questions into the chat box there, and Kyle will stick around and we'll answer them here before we wrap up. So I just had a couple more slides to go through. The first one is more of just a heads up that tomorrow all of our FBN members will be receiving an email that has a link to this document that you see right here. And what this is basically what our data shows for the relabeled hybrids that we have in our portfolio today. So, part of our angle or part of our pitch or appeal to launching the Master Farmer brand is that it is relabeled, and we think we're able to bring relabeled seed to the market at a really competitive price. So what we've been able to do with that relabeled information is look into our database and see how the seeds that we're selling now have performed under other varieties or other variety names within the system, within the FBN system. So what you see here is the list of all the products that are in the portfolio that Kyle just went through, and they're like hybrids, or they're same as hybrids. So you may see some on there that you're familiar with. Maybe you've even grown them in the past. But just as importantly, then you can see there how these products perform in Seed Finder, and a couple of the products are really high-end performers. They have really good yield throughout our entire network. Some of them are very popular and have been on, you can see that one there that's been on 40,000 plus acres and is still a really high-end performing hybrid. So I recommend that you guys check out this document tomorrow when it's released, and you can use this as you're helping make selections out of the Master Farmer portfolio that we have today. All right, so next slide. All right, and then I think the last slide that we have then is just a quick blurb on our financing program that we have. So we do still have a special rate financing program available to our seed customers. So any seed customer that buys $7,500 worth of seed this month, so the seed must be purchased by February 28th, will be eligible for 3.5% finance on their order, and will also be put into our 3.5% club. And what that means is that you will actually kind of have a tab open with FBN, and you can continue to add products to that tab, all at 3.5% financing throughout the rest of this growing season. So you can add chemical, you can add more seed, do whatever you need, and add it once you're in the 3.5% club. So any customer that buys $7,500 worth of seed this month will be in the 3.5% club. And that's 3.5% financing with no payments until December 1st, 2019. So really good financing program that I recommend you guys apply for. And if approved, it's a great promotion for you. All right, so with that being said, that is the presentation that we had for tonight. I appreciate you guys taking your time out of your evening to learn a little bit more about the Master Farmer Seed and what we're doing here at FBN. With that being said, I'll allow you guys to ask any questions that you have. If you see over in the right side box, you see a spot there to put in questions. And then while you guys are thinking of questions, we're going to go ahead and throw up one more poll question for you. And it's just trying to get a feel for what trait packages you're most interested in out of this portfolio. So if you could answer this question, that'd be fantastic. And then also be thinking of questions and throw those into the chat box. And we'll get back to you here while we're still on the call. Alrighty, thank you to everybody that responded to that. So pretty even split across across all the different options there. So again, any questions that you have, one question that we do get asked a lot is just around, how this works working with a company like Master Farmer. Are these, genetics that come from, one of the major seed companies, or are they this company's genetics or that company's genetics? So Kyle, while other people are typing in questions, can you maybe just answer that question as far as how the Master Farmer team comes about with and fills up their portfolio of genetics?
Yeah, so basically, like I said, FBN's relationship with Master Farmer, and specifically FBN's relationship as a whole in the industry, is open architecture. So what that means is that they're not specifically tied down to one seed house like maybe some of the other national brands are. They have the ability to work with many different breeding outlets and breeding programs, and then that also means to bring in different genetics from different breeding programs and seed houses and whatever that may be. And so, as you can tell from that slide Brant showed a few minutes ago, there might be some products that have been relabeled, but there's also products that are brand new to the marketplace. Like I know for a fact some of these products are brand spanking new, and I'm talking about maybe 1 or 2 years of commercial use. So it's very unique. It gives them the opportunity to have a portfolio of options, like we said, from 118 all the way down to 77 days. And so that kind of gives that opportunity. This is not carryover seed from years past. This is, produced seed for the FBN and for the Master Farmer brand. And then it's going to continue to increase and grow moving forward. So I know that the production plans for next year are even better with an even wider trait portfolio of options, as well as being able to build their own structured refuge kind of in there. In between. So it's a very good lineup. Like I said, I look at a lot of crosses. I see a lot of corn, and so I know all of these crosses extremely well. I know all these hybrids very well, and I know that these were hand selected for the network that FBN would be promoting their lines to. So it's very strong, and it's only going to continue to get better from here moving forward.
All right, thank you, Cal. Yeah, so one of the questions is there any specific product that you would recommend for silage? So yeah, the person who threw that question, if you can maybe give a RM range or a maturity range into that box as well, that would probably help us hone down, because I do know that a lot of this portfolio works well for silage. So I don't know if you can go ahead and throw just another response in there into the question box, or into another, to give us a range of maturities that we can speak to and give some silage recommendations. Okay, so there it came through. So Kyle, 100 day to 105 day. Is there one that you would recommend for silage? I know we don't have a ton of options in that range, but is there one
Yeah,
that's
depending. Yeah, sorry, Ray. But yeah, depending on where you're going to be growing it. Like I said, if I'm going to be east of the Mississippi, I'm going to use the 105-day 30-10 option. But I can also use that on dryland acres west of the Mississippi. But if I'm specifically west of the Mississippi, I'll use that 104-day VIP 3111 option. So I lean on those two, and then any of the either the GT or the 3000 GT or the 3011. I'm sorry. Artesian options in that 101 day would be ones that I would lean on as well. They're high yielding for grain and should do very well from a silage standpoint.
great? Thank you, Kyle. Alrighty. Any other questions? We'll hang around for another minute or two, and you can throw more questions in. Glad to answer anything that you have. While you're thinking of those, just as a reminder, we do have a deadline on the 15th, so Friday of this week, for our current price points that we have. There will be a price increase at that time, and I encourage you guys, if you're interested, to go ahead and jump in while the price is as good as it will get. So. All right, well, it seems like we got all the questions answered. If you guys have any more, definitely reach out to your local FBN account executive or account manager, and we'd be glad to answer any other questions that you have. But thank you very much again for spending some time with us this evening. Appreciate your interest in the products that we have, and hopefully you'll get a chance to try some out this year. So thank you very much and have a good evening.